Today we're going to talk about the thing that we honestly hear the most complaints about on this channel, which is limited edition bourbon. Is it worth it? Is it too expensive? Is it any good? Is it worth the waste of time? We're going to kind of discuss all of those topics in hopefully less than a 15-minute video.
Maybe. Welcome back to another edition of Bourbon Kingdom. I'm David.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are going to talk about limited edition. Is it a problem?
Yeah, so, before we start, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, notifications button. Check us out on Patreon. Check us out basically on all social media platforms. We're pretty much everywhere, including on Spotify, podcasts, blah, blah, blah.
All the good stuff.
Man, that was so great. That was beautiful.
Perfect.
So today, with that topic of LEs, the number one thing that, like, whenever I go through, like, our videos where we talk about or review rare whiskey or limited edition whiskey, is I'll never see it. It'll never come to my area. It'll go out the back door. It'll cost $1,000. Mm-hmm. All of these things. And of course, there are certain things, certain stores that will charge a certain way, or they'll go out the back door to regular customers, or whatever the case is. And of course, there's always going to be people that complain because, let's face it, at the end of the day, you don't want to put in work and you just want to complain about it.
Well, also, there's a lot of FOMO, and when you don't get it, you
get upset about it.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
I get it, yeah.
I am one of them. I get that. There's a whole bunch of different excuses. So we'll try to cover, we'll try to cover a lot of general ones in this conversation and talk about it, because there's stuff we don't get. Like, the cool thing is about this channel, whenever we get something that's like rare that we think would be fun to review, we review it.
Yep. And
yes, we get a lot of fun things to review, but we always tend to open them and review them. And
we miss out on a lot of cool stuff too.
We do. Like,
some of y'all get your hands on BTAC like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
We do not.
We don't. We don't see a lot of BTAC unless you're Dave and you get 4 GTSs in a year.
Always a year behind, though.
Oh, you know what? That is true. You are always a year behind. You never get the review that would actually matter for that year.
No, not at all.
That's actually a great
point. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, so the first question that we're going to do and talk about is, do we have too many limited edition bourbons?
So if I look at this, I would say yes.
I actually agree with you. I think we have too many.
I think what people consider limited edition is now what used to be considered a limited edition had a standard up here for what that was. Mm-hmm. I feel like because of the bourbon boom, they've dropped that standard down a bit. And so they make a lot of things LE that don't always need to be LE.
So let's hold off on that, because I want to circle back to that. The too many editions, and let's just take one big brand out. Let's just take Buffalo Trace out, right? Because Buffalo Trace, they make so many limited edition stuff between BTAC, Pappy, E.H. Taylor. There's so many things, so let's just not worry about them. But you take somebody that is, for example, Four Roses. They come out and they do their one big LE a year. Mm-hmm. Now, they might have some smaller releases in the sense of Kentucky Strong bottle, Father's Day bottle.
But those are for special occasions.
Those are for special occasions.
The flood relief bottle, those things were to raise money for something.
A lot of it,
which was super
not
cool.
all of them, but a lot of them are charity barrels, which I agree. So they do some cool things like that. But then you have other brands we could sit there and look at Smoke Wagon, who comes out with a bunch of different stuff. Mm-hmm. Willet is always, they're always going to do the single barrel thing. Yeah. But Heaven Hill produces a ton of stuff.
Yes.
And there's a ton of brands. Wild Turkey is coming up with new stuff every single year.
Yes.
There's a ton of brands that are just producing a ton. Now, some of them do it right. Some of them produce a lot of good quality. But other ones are I feel like they're just producing just to produce something limited, to quote unquote have something,
or even just this is what we've done. These limited editions come out every year like clockwork, and we feel like we have to put them out, even though it may be a subpar product.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we reviewed one today that I would consider would be a subpar product is what maybe that one's not super limited edition, but they consider it a limited edition.
No, but we'll go again. Next question. We'll go into that one too.
But I'm just saying, there's so many of them. You feel like you have to keep doing it when you could maybe back off of some of these things.
Agree. I think certain brands should really limit their limited edition whiskey, because I don't think, like, you come out with a new line and something limited and new, I get like that's marketing and that's a good way to generate income and all of that stuff. But I think in some ways it does water it down, which kind of goes into the next question to ask here.
Well, let's hold off on this, because I do want to say this too. For us as a channel, we will continue to buy the LEs that come out when they're available to us, because we want to review them for you guys. And so that's just part of what it is. We're just going to do that, not because we necessarily want to all the time, but because we want to make sure you all have, like, if you're watching this, you have a tendency to either agree with me or Zach on our palates, and you like to hear our opinions on things. And so we want to do that with all the things that are available. So we're going to end up spending money on things that maybe if we didn't have a bourbon channel, we might just be like, all right, I'm not getting that this time. So,
well, and then here's the truth. And this is, I've had to explain this to people before, because we've had people ask us, like, why do you always just want to, like, why do you just want to review like the really rare stuff that people can't get? I'm like, well, I don't know if people can't get it, but if you look at our best reviews we've ever done, like out of our top 10, 12, 15, like all of them except for one are rare whiskeys. Like,
and we review regular stuff all the time too.
They just don't do as well.
Yeah, they just don't. But we still do them because we know, like, if you look through our history of videos, you're going to find something and be like, oh, I wonder what that was like. Okay, let me. So
I think it's good. I think it's good to review. And
we try to do them all because we think it's worth it for you guys. If you value what we think about bourbon, and if you're on this, generally you at least have some care of it.
Agree.
So anyway, second question.
Next question.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes into a little bit of two things you talked about. Are LEs worth it still?
Sure. I mean, yes, but there's always the caveat.
But not all.
Yeah,
yes, exactly. That's honestly, I thought about this question all day, and I'm like, yes, but not all.
Yeah.
And whenever we talk about like LEs, like even let's just take in like the allocated bourbon, right? Because like the two biggest things that Dave and I think I've had issue with over the last couple of years are the Stags and the Elijah Craig barrel proofs, where they just haven't been as good.
They haven't been as good.
And I won't talk about any new reviews we've done here recently, but some reviews we've done here recently of those two have not been as good. Yeah. And, you know, what we're noticing with the LE market when it comes to bourbon, these LE batches are getting bigger for a lot of brands. Now, there's some they're getting smaller. Yeah. But we've noticed that the ones that are getting smaller, their quality is getting better. To name you all a couple brands who I know whose batches are getting better, or not better, I'm sorry, bigger, just because we know they're either producing more or we're being told that is. Stag's producing 4 batches a year now. And if they stick with that, they said they want to do 3 to 4 batches every year, preferably 4. So if we know they're wanting to do 4, they went from a pool of 8 to 12,000 barrels per batch, and they were doing that twice a year. So really that's 16, 24,000 barrels. Now they're doing 32 to 48,000 barrels a year. You're going to take in bad ones in those batches. You're just going to. Yeah. Not to mention you're pulling stuff for the single barrels. Same thing with the Elijah Craig. These Elijah Craig barrels are going to, the best ones are going to the single barrel program.
They really are.
Or
with the occasion. Again, with the occasion.
Well, you had the C, honestly, if you take out the C23, when's the last really great one they've had since? Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 22. That was pretty good, but none of them were bangers. Yeah. And so
that's true.
You know, like that's why I'm kind of, and we love Hebnell. We love a lot of things they do. They're good to us.
And Buffalo Trace. We love Buffalo Trace. I mean, Buffalo Trace is not good to us, but
We're not on their radar.
We're not on the radar, which is fine. Like
most people are not on their radar.
Yeah.
But with that being said, and by the way, we're picking on those two. Old Forester went from doing 100,000 barrel blends for birthday bourbon to now over 200,000 this past year for 2024, and they're going to get bigger in 2025. So these LEs are going to be hitting more markets. With that being said, I don't know if the quality is going to stay the same. I hope that they do.
But there are some LEs out there that are going to be worth it. So they're not all worth it, but some are going to be worth it.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, whenever we say, like, if you have a brand, like, for example, if you like Jack Daniels, like, we know the Jack Daniels 14 is really great.
Yeah.
There's about 24,000 bottles of that. That's a pretty big release for 14-year-old whiskey at 126.8 proof.
Yeah.
Something like that.
128.6 or
something like that, whatever it is. That's actually quite a bit for the age and the proof. I'm not going to say everybody's going to get one or two, but I feel like that's more of a shot than certain other brands that come out with a limited release, and there's between 4,000 and 6,000 bottles.
I agree with that.
But if you are a Jack Daniels fan, you know to jump on it when the time comes. If you're not, but you're curious about it, there's so many bars that will have this stuff. Go try it. Spend the extra money. Go try it. And then that way you know if you feel like you have to have it or not. Like, I think that is more valuable now than what it's ever been.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
all right, next question is, should we hunt and spend the money on LEs? Yeah, I'm going to say yes, because I think that's part of the appeal of the bourbon world is hunting. And if it sits on the shelf, it's not really a hunt. That's like shooting fish in a barrel. You can get that anytime you want to.
Yeah.
And so the LE market has a market because there is the thrill of the hunt. There is the thrill of standing in a line or being online in a queue and hoping that you get queued up in a time to be able to get a bottle. That is, to me, part of the adrenaline rush, part of the appeal, part of standing in a line, hanging out with your friends, having a few pours while you're waiting for the doors to open 5 hours from when you got there. There's all kinds of parts about this that, to me, I look at and I go, the LE is this, I mean, it is the main part of what you're going to be standing in line for, but it is also the secondary part of the experience. And I don't know about you, Zach, but for me, like, before I was into bourbon, I never really understood why some things happen, like why you would go stand in line, why you would do that kind of stuff. But the more that you get into this bourbon world, the more you realize that it's the people that kind of make up
1,000%.
It's the people that kind of make up the experience of it. And so standing in line and you're seeing the same people in line on a week in, week out basis, or a month in, month out basis, however often you come down, or you're in a line waiting for an LE. It's just kind of like part of the experience. And so, yes, spend the money on the LEs, but spend it on the ones you want to, and spend the time on the ones you want to. But the hunt is part of, like, the beautiful part about it.
So I agree. I think the hunting, I have one big caveat. I would tell everybody that I think if it's not fun to you and it's stressful or it upsets you or whatever, don't waste your time with it. Because, like,
yes, I agree with that.
Like, honestly, and like, for example, guys, today I waited in a queue online for the OKI 16, I think it's like 16-year-old barrels that came out. I was sitting there waiting. And right as I'm hitting refresh, it pops up. I put in my information. I go through, and as I'm checking out, it says sold out. Like I missed. And I waited for like 20 minutes or so trying to deal with that. Talked about it all day amongst friends. Lost. It happens, okay?
Yeah, it does.
It didn't ruin my day. It didn't upset me. I don't know if I'll get another shot at that, but I hope I get another shot at it. My point is that I totally have been in that situation before where I've missed something and I've really hated myself because I'm like, oh, I can't believe I missed that. And a lot of times the reason why I get frustrated is because, like, man, I would have loved to review that bottle for the channel.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, like, most of the stuff I hunt for in bourbon now is stuff to review, to crack open and talk about with you guys. You get to that point in your bourbon journey where it's like, if you miss, you miss. Like, sure, certain things suck more than others.
Yeah.
But it's all about, at the end of the day, you is having fun with it. You build community with it. We had a great opportunity to share bottles this past weekend. And we just had a great time with friends, new friends, some old friends.
Yep.
And you just sit around, you drink whiskey, you talk some whiskey. And then you talk about life. Like, dude, that is what it is all about.
It is.
So,
completely.
To me, the most important thing about whiskey is the people you drink it with and you share with and you do all that kind of stuff with. So, yes, I think you meet a lot of people and you make a lot of friends that way by hunting whiskey. So, I think it's great. With that being said, if it stresses you out, don't do it. Like, I would just tell you,
just drink.
Just don't. And it's okay to drink store picks or stuff that's on the shelf. Or here's the other thing I would tell you. Don't try to build a relationship with multiple stores. Try to build a relationship with a good store that doesn't charge over MSRP for stuff.
Yep. And
try to have a good conversation with that person and try to work on that. Don't stress yourself. It's just whiskey. It's not worth it.
Yep, for sure. The last question is, can we make LEs better?
Oh, go ahead.
I can't. Because I don't have a distillery.
No, but if you have like an idea,
I'm just messing with you.
Okay, so I have a great idea, and I've said this before on here, and I just want to give Four Roses a bunch of credit because this is really where the idea comes from. So if we do live in a world where we want more LEs and we want more access to LEs, okay, if that's the world you live in and that's what you think,
yeah,
how can we make them better? Think of all the major distilleries: Heaven Hill, Four Roses, Buffalo Trace, Oak Forester, like the big boys, right?
Yeah.
Who make these huge blends of things, okay? There are barrels every year that get rejected. Not because they're not bad, not because they're bad, but because they don't meet the profile of what they're wanting in these blends, okay?
They get put in some small batch somewhere.
They get put into a small batch.
Yeah.
Like they get proofed down. Some of these are Hazzies, some of these are some gorgeous 18 year, whatever it is, and you're like, and all they do is just proof them out. Here would be my thing. And before everybody hates on this idea, just take a minute, breathe, and just hear this out. I would take all those single barrels and I would make them into a single barrel. And I would take some, I'd put them in distro and put them out there to people. And then I would take the other half and put them in charities. Yeah. And do charity raffles and do stuff like that. I would do some gift shops. I would do some, pop-ups wherever. Because, even like the Jack Daniels of the world, like think of the 14 year they just came out with. Think of those single barrels that didn't reach the profile that they wanted. Yeah. And they just made those in single barrels. It would be bonkers, man. It would be bonkers.
It would be.
Think if they spread them out just amongst the distillery, or it was a Tennessee only release. Yeah. Like what they did with like the small batch Coy Hill. Yeah. And they just put them all throughout Tennessee and just flooded it and said thank you to the state. Doesn't help me at all. I don't live in Tennessee, but I'm just saying, like, to do cool things like that, to get more opportunity for better whiskey to be out there, I think that would actually be something really cool, and it'd be something really easy that
I do agree with that. It would be.
Think of a WLW single barrel. Think of a birthday bourbon single barrel. Think of all of these things.
All the things, yes. Stop talking because that just makes my mouth water.
All right, this isn't my idea. This came from Four Roses. That's.
Nice. I like it. All right, that's kind of our ideas of LEs and whether there's a problem or not. You can take our ideas with a grain of salt. All that stuff. Tell us what you think. Tell us how you feel about LEs, especially in the areas that are different than the state of Kentucky, because I know some of you all are in barren wastelands for a lot of it, and we'll welcome any LE that appeared, and all the good stuff. And I think at the end of the day, we just want the things that are considered LE to be of a certain level, and when they are so right and they're so chased, like the VVS, the Old Fitz VVS, like that is an LE of all LEs. Like that is just a really special bottle. There are several examples like that, but just kind of in there and just make you go, man, this is what an LE is all about. And so those are those are the things that are worth the hunt and just really awesome in that sense. So,
agreed.
All right, tell us what you think. And until next time,
We'll see you.
We'll see you.